Now, the Garry dog is it's a great old fly. I mean, it's a great pattern, great colour combination, and this is a request. I don't tie a huge amount of these flies, not nowadays. Just basically, there's that many other patterns people in modern style, but this is a fly you should certainly have in your box. Now, it's basically easy. You could tie. I mean, the Garry dog can be tied as a tube fly. It can be tied, in this case, obviously in a double. It's entirely up to yourself. Hair could be. There's that many hairs you could choose between bucktail, squirrel, calf tail. You choose the hair. Or what's modern hair now is the Arctic Runner is very popular. You could use that as well. Doubles. There's again many companies make doubles. There's obviously the full mill Magni. There's Partridge, Patriot, and so on. So it's up to you what hook you like to use. Now, thread I'm going to be tying the fly with is the Uni 80 in black. Now I've waxed the thread. We start at the eye, then I'm going to come down basically about a third of the way, and then I'm going to remove the waist. Now I'm going to use an oval silver tinsel. We catch this in the way down, right to the point. Oops, pulled it out. Start again, and then just basically wind your thread down until you're in line. The point of the hook, it's just at the point where it starts to come round the bend, in this style of hook anyway. And then what we're going to do is wind the oval tinsel sort of round the bend. In this case, there's 4 turns there, and then to lock these turns in, I can show you. The turns are there. So what I'm going to then ring is the oval tinsel between the hooks and the underside. If you can see there, and then I don't normally bring the hook round like this, I just usually catch it, and then I hold this in. This locks in the tag. Now, to basically what I like to do is to keep the body sort of lump free. If you tie it in or pull it back, you'll have a wee step. Keep it that step away and get a nice smooth body. I like to take it up and then come back down, right up against the tag. There we are. Now the tail, I'm using the Golden Pheasant Crest. Now I have 3 or 4 lying on my desk. I'm going to show you how they're twisted, and I'll show you how they come off. They're never perfect when they come off, unless you spend a bit of time preparing the crest. So when you're tying flies for yourself, you don't need to really go daft. But basically what I've got is 2 feathers here, and I'm lining up the curve, meaning the tips and the curve of the feather, which is there. Then I'm going to hold the tail that I want. Now these are curling sort of slightly off away from the way I want the tail to sit, so let that twist go in towards the body and keep the tail the way you want it. Tail length is up to yourself. It can be quite long, short, it's up to you. I'm just tying it on. There's very little pressure there, it's just a couple of loose turns holds that while you're looking at it. Now I've waxed the thread, so again that keeps things nice and tight. If you're happy with the length, and I'm looking at it now, that's fine. Tips are okay, then I can trim it. You can see it's sitting fine. That's a good fishing fly. Then I'm just using this is a rayon black floss. I catch this in. Full length of the body. This will help stop any steps and give you a nice smooth body. And then we just work our thread up nice and tight. Just a nice base of thread down. Just go back there, so that you get a nice smooth body. Now there's a couple of ways of tying the fly. I like to have a black hackle on and then dyed blue jay, or in this case I'm going to be using dyed Guinea fowl. Now I'm going to wind a hackle, so you've got to give yourself plenty of room, basically for at least 2 turns of the black hackle, 2 to 3 depending on the feather, and then you want the false hackle or the beard would be the dyed Guinea fowl. So make sure you've got good, in this case this is round about 4mm or so in this size. This is a size 8, so we just wind up with the floss. This will tidy things up. Till we get to this point, we'll come across with thread, and then we tie this in. A good 4-5 turns. Trim away your waist, and then we bring our rib up. Traditionally it was only about 5 turns. There we are. The main reason for 5 turns was if you're using the right thickness of tinsel, 5 turns would be ideal. Like in this here, it suits it fine. If it was too thick, you would only get 4 turns. So if you got 5 turns, it kept everything within proportion, and that was the idea behind the 5 turns. So then we do is trim away the waist, wax my thread, tidy this area up, and we wind the hackle, and I'm using, this is just a Chinese cock hackle that's been dyed black. There's not much left of it. Length of the fibre is, I like quite a good length. I'm not fussy whether it be to a certain point. A nice fishing fly. So what I'm going to do here is remove the fluff from the bottom. Chinese cock is it's like a henny cock type fibre. It's an in-between. It's what was used in all the flies, whether it be hen itself, but a lot of people use the Chinese cock. Now what I'm doing here is just folding it on the actual on the fly rather than folding it first. It's easy to do that. Now the fibres at the base of these feathers are nice and soft. Now looking at as many fibres I have, that's fine. Come round, and then we catch in the tip. Make sure it's secure. You can trim this away. Just make sure any fibres are going forward, draw them back. You can then tidy up. You got wax on your thread. Now you can obviously encourage the fibres down either side of the hook, but I usually just leave them. I don't bother. Then we want to throw a dyed blue guinea fowl, or blue jay, which I've used quite a bit as well. But the dyed blue guinea fowl works. So get enough to form the throat, tear it away from in this case this is a feather from the wing. I like to use these up, and they're good fibres. Now what I'm going to do is just, basically there's a couple of ways you could tie this in. The easiest way is just to roll the fibres so they separate. It comes swim better if you do that. Just bring your finger through it so that it separates fibres, and then the length is much the same length as the black fibres. I usually hold it in the side and then allow the thread turn to bring the fibres like halfway or just the underside of the hook. 2 or 3 turns. You can check, because of the black hackle it blends, it mixes in well with the feather. That's fine. 2 or 3 more turns secures it. And trim away the excess. Just be careful with your thread. There you go. Again, a wee bit of wax on your thread. Tidy this area up. And there we are. It's fine. Now I've got some bucktail, red bucktail. Now everyone tells you when you tie a Garry dog, the red should only be 2 or 3 fibres or so, not many. You can put as many on as you like. You tie it to suit yourself. I'm happy with a bit of colour, I want to see it, so this is as much I put on. Just bring it out, just a tiny bit of colour. I like using the bucktail because it's for colour. It's a very good mobile fibre as well, but especially for colour I like it. Now what I'm going to do here is just to get the best of these fibres, I'm going to stack it. So I'm going to put them in tips first into the stacker and tap on my desk. Should line the tips up for you. Length, now I want it by the tail, just slightly longer than the tail, so there. That's this on the top, 2 or 3 turns. You could fold this back if you want. Keeping a hold of these cut ends, then you can trim them away. It's a quick, easy way when you're tying in like there's not many fibres there, you can easily do that. And it helps keep the wing slightly lower. Now for the main wing is yellow. This is squirrel dyed, or bleached and dyed, or grey squirrel, which they call bleached and dyed yellow. You could use the bucktail if you want, and especially in the bigger flies, the bucktail. As I say, you could use Arctic Runner, you use whatever hair you have, calf tail. I'm just going to use the bleached and dyed squirrel. So we get the length, and I want it longer than the red, so slightly longer. So the overall wing, you're looking at least twice the body. There we are. So when we're happy with the length we want, we can then trim that away from the tail. Just making sure there's no broken ends down the base here, down at the cut ends. Double check your length again. So I'm just rolling the fibre so I can see it a wee bit better, the length of it. So there's the length. I'm going to trim it, and then wax my thread, come in, and then take the thread into the cut ends in stages. And the last one's like a pinch and loop, so that basically catches it in stages. You can position the fibre. Now the wax thread will give you grip. Now what I'm doing here is just making sure the hair's in the area where I want, sitting on top. That's it. And then we can tighten up. The easiest way to sort of form the head, especially with a step like this, you can basically work the thread up onto the cut ends rather than letting it slip and fall towards the eye. If you work your way up like this, you're building the thread up and forming a step and pushing it up, and it's easier to tie and form the head. Always keeping the thread tight. When you're happy, then get straight in and whip finish. Nice and tight. Trim away your thread. And there we are. Now a couple of coats of varnish. Usually a coat of super glue for me, and then a coat of varnish, or 2 coats of varnish, and it's a nice shiny head. So there's different ways. You can use black varnish if you want, which will give you a glossier, shinier head anyway than the clear itself. Plus, if you've got any fibres showing through the thread turns, the black will hide them. So, and there we are. Now that's a single coat. Now you can build the head up to suit yourself, make a nice shiny head. 3 coats and you'll certainly have a nice, good head. And there we are. That's just a Hairwing Garry dog. As I say, it is a request. It's a good pattern. It's a good fly, tied in any sizes. So I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for watching.